Welcome to another episode of IFS Meditations and Insights, a podcast exploring personal growth through the lens of internal family systems. I'm your guide on this journey, Tim Fortescue, a trained IFS practitioner dedicated to nurturing spiritual wholeness and healing. In this compassionate space, we delve into self-discovery, uncovering our own inner wisdom. And when we embrace all parts of ourselves with love, we can better receive love from God or divine love and extend that love to others. My hope is that what you learn here will illuminate your path, bringing your own inner peace and a deeper connection to the sacred. Together, we'll learn how IFS gently transforms our relationship with ourselves and the world. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the interaction of IFS and neurodiversity, a fascinating topic with so much wisdom to uncover. So settle in, open your heart and mind, and let's dive into the transformative power of embracing neurodiversity from an IFS perspective. Those who are regular listeners to the podcast know that at its core, IFS recognizes that we each have many different parts, discrete subpersonalities within us, each carrying their own perspectives, emotions, memories, and goals. IFS views our inner world as complex, with parts expressing vulnerability or burdens from the past. Yet other parts may act as protectors or managers that control or hide difficult emotions. Through inner exploration and letting each part have its voice, we start to understand the root causes behind our inner conflicts. As we address each part's underlying needs, we relieve their burdens, allowing our parts to trust and align with each other and our inner world. Neurodiversity refers to the diversity of human brains and minds, the variations in how we think, perceive, relate, and behave. It's an affirmation that neurological differences are a natural and valuable part of human diversity. Neurodiverse conditions include autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and dyspraxia, which is a lifelong condition that can cause problems with learning, perception, and physical coordination. And many, many more things can qualify as a neurodiverse condition. Neurodiversity relates to innate differences in things like social communication, focus, coordination, learning styles, and sensory perception. The neurodiversity paradigm recognizes these not as deficits, but as alternative and equally valid ways of being. It values neurodiverse perspectives and strengths like creativity, honesty, loyalty, and outside-the-box thinking. However, people can still face challenges related to things like emotional regulation, anxiety, sensory overload, and fitting rigid societal norms. Many neurodiverse people grapple with judgment, shame, or pressure from society to mask their differences and to fit in. Using IFS, we can identify protector parts that form to keep us safe by hiding core aspects of who we are. And when we show these parts and inner critics compassion rather than fighting them, we can nurture these parts, and we can nurture those exiled parts of us that have been pushed down and felt rejected for simply being different. Likewise, hyperactive parts may carry burdens from constantly needing to monitor and regulate our behavior. IFS helps us understand these extreme adaptations. The self, or beloved self, or God image, whatever you want to call it, can then set healthy boundaries around these parts, like these hyperactive parts. For sensory sensitivities, IFS can meet protective fight-flight parts with care, allowing overwhelmed exile parts to unburden. Overall, IFS is a powerful tool to acknowledge each part's role while aligning them to greater self-knowledge, confidence, and authenticity. So I'm curious, do you have parts of your inner system that resonates with this? I know I do, particularly those parts that struggle with ADD and are unconventional to some people and outside of the box. Sometimes it's hard to discern what's at my core, who I truly am, and what isn't. IFS work has helped me to tease out my parts and to realize and discover more and more about who I truly am. I've uncovered inner critics judging me as lazy and unintelligent whenever I make mistakes. I've learned to thank these parts for their attempt to protect me, though their methods haven't always been very helpful. I've embraced exiled parts of myself that have felt constantly overwhelmed. And through all of this, while there's still place for much learning and growth, as we all have, I've become an advocate for neurodiversity. And as I learn, I'm helping others understand their own neurodiverse parts within themselves and in the lives of those they love. I'm also learning to understand those that I love so much a little better. To become more self-aware, try noticing when different inner parts are activated by writing them down or dialoguing with them. It may be helpful to ask yourself, which part of me is feeling this or pushing for this action? And see if you can sense its purpose while acknowledging its emotions. Or when you feel inner conflict, it may be helpful to try bringing compassion to each part rather than suppressing it. Maybe say internally, I know you're trying to help or protect me, but this is hurting us overall. What do you truly need? And see what that part responds. And there may be another part that wants to chime in. And then see if you can compromise or find another way for each part to feel safe. Practice accepting and expressing rather than hiding traits like stimming or ticking, information dumping, or literal speech. And I know I have some parts that come out with literal speech that mean something totally different than others may perceive. So if you have those parts, accept them with some compassion and just seek to get to know them more. Be curious. Recognize these not as negatives, but as expressions of your authentic self. Advocate your needs like quiet spaces, headphones, or flexible schedules, and surround yourself with people who honor the real you. Supporting neurodiversity benefits everyone. Schools can teach to diverse learning styles. Workplaces can highlight neurodiverse thinking. Churches or religious centers can even accommodate this by providing something for people to do with their hands while listening to a sermon or a talk. And we must recognize sensory and communication needs, allowing accommodations, maybe fidget toys or noise-canceling headphones without stigma. Legal protections, improved media representation, and public education against ableism are also key. Most importantly, we need to nurture neurodiverse self-acceptance, inner understanding, and access to mental health care. For caregivers of neurodiverse children, lead with patience, empathy, and respect. Our society must shift from marginalizing to celebrating neurodiversity, valuing alternative voices and talents equitably. The more perspective we embrace, the more creativity and innovation thrives. So I hope this insight on IFS and concepts of neurodiversity has been helpful for you. By identifying our parts, we can meet painful burdens and self-judgment with self-compassion. And we can better understand behaviors, adaptations, and needs created by our neurology. I hope you feel empowered to embrace your authentic self, harmonize your inner ecosystem, and advocate for an inclusive world that nurtures every form of diversity. Well, that wraps up another episode of IFS Meditations and Insights. I hope you found value in today's exploration of IFS and neurodiversity. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share it with anyone else who might benefit. Additionally, please leave a 5-star rating and review. This helps new listeners find the podcast. If you want more IFS wisdom and meditations, head over to my website, faithfullygrowing.com, to access a special playlist with over 25 of my most impactful meditations. It's completely free. Lastly, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on the podcast. Feel free to reach out anytime by emailing me at tim@faithfullygrowing.com. Thanks again for listening and being a part of this community. Remember to approach yourself and others with compassion. We're all doing the best we can with the tools we have. Looking forward to our next time together, and until then, take good care, stay curious if you can, and welcome all parts you encounter on your journey.